And we are live for another Monday night live stream. Let's hope this Monday goes better than last Monday. um, for those, well, I think you probably were all here last Monday, but if you weren't, um, last Monday I had a bunch of interruptions, some work issues, just general issues. So I took that stream down. It wasn't really worth watching on a replay. Um, so if you're wondering, like, well, last week, that's what happened last week. So we are doing the same topic as last week so that it actually can hopefully get posted and stay online. And also, I don't feel like I gave it the attention that this topic needs. So hopefully this isn't boring for those who were here last week. Hopefully you can ask your questions and get the answers that you are looking for. So let's see who's here. It's David as usual. He was the first one. Yesterday's live stream. Yes, if you didn't see, I was on Jeremy Like's Practical IT channel with several other creators talking Christmas gifts. So hopefully you probably all subscribe to Jeremy's channel. If you don't, go check it out. It's Practical IT. And we were basically there talking about, gift ideas for people in technology. My suggestion, which I don't have anymore, was a very rugged and good flashlight, because I think you always need those when you work in tech. A couple other suggestions on there that were interesting was the speakerphone. Tony's little power station that he made was a good suggestion. So go check that out if you are interested in gift ideas, or if you just want to hang out with some people, and which basically what we did the other day was about an hour and a half, give or take. Eric is in the house. Eric says, on Aaron's stream yesterday, he mentioned exploding his rack on the wall. I mentioned you, but didn't really. Yes. Okay, so I just finished Aaron's stream on the way to Midas, because we had to take Kaylee's car in because her battery's dead. And you're probably thinking, battery? You could change a battery. You would think that, except that on a Ford Escape, the battery is tucked in so far into the windshield that basically you can't get to it. So you have to pull the whole air intake, and I feel like even the throttle body, there's pieces you got to pull out in order to get to the battery. And I'm not about to do that. I tried that before. It took 4 hours to do, and so the $85 or whatever it is they're going to charge is probably a lot better than me wasting 4+ hours and potentially breaking something. So, but I did actually just finish his stream. Sorry, Aaron, but I kind of fast forwarded through most of it because I'm not interested in the YOLO live very much, but there were parts that I watched, and I did see him mention exploding the rack onto the wall. He could take some notes. I think I have some good mounting options to talk about later. He has a lot of stuff, though. I'm not sure how well that would go on the wall. May not be the best. May not be the best experience for him, but I mean, to each their own. I did find it interesting. He did a little bit of JavaScript live and trying to figure out the screen resolution. I thought that was pretty impressive. So yeah, so David says notification squad. Nils, yeah, I agree with Nils. I think if he were to actually put everything on the wall, he would need a bigger wall. Maybe even more than that. Maybe 2 walls, like he said, or maybe, yeah, 2. He might actually need a whole apartment just for this stuff if you're going to do that. This chat's not working because I'm way behind again. All right. Hey, babe. Welcome in. Jeremy is awesome. Joe is here. Joe was on the stream last night with Jeremy. So if you haven't seen Joe in a while from Cajoling Technology, you can go back to check that out. Yeah, the broadcast and climate control. Yes. If you didn't know, last Monday we basically had air conditioning issues and at work, and the room was 100 degrees. No joke, 100 degrees is what I was told. And we lost one server. Um, it let up the smoke and never came back. The rest of the stuff remarkably did well. And I haven't seen the bill for it yet, but I can only imagine what it's going to be. And now there's a $2,000 part in the HVAC system they want to replace because it's not working correctly. And so it was one failure led to the discovery of other things. And so I'll probably have a whole story on that at some point. But for now, we're going to leave it at that. Tony is in the house. Like I said, Tony was on that stream last night. So if you didn't check that out, yeah, lab wall, always great. David says, "Where are the pink headphones?" I'm not gonna be buying pink headphones, so sorry. Haley might be interested in the pink headphones. I could get that. That could be interesting. They had little ears, hun, like they were little bunny ears. Speaking of Jeremy, welcome in, Jeremy. And yes, I am curious how you are feeling. I hopefully you're feeling better today. Jeremy says he stayed home from work and that his cough isn't nearly as bad. That's good. Good to hear that you're at least were able to rest and that you're doing better. Have to name your server data center Hades. I don't know if I get the reference. Yes, Haley would wear them on her channel. If you have not subscribed to Haley, please do so. She is starting a YouTube channel all about health and hormones and natural medicine and ways to combat all that stuff naturally versus taking medicine. So please go subscribe to her channel. I highly recommend it. Oh, Hades equals hot. Okay, that makes sense. Hell, yeah. Chris Jones says, hello from South Carolina. Welcome in. Glad to see you here. And I really wish this chat would be fixed. Anyway, so I think now that we've said hello to everybody and gotten things straightened out, let's kind of go to the main topic of tonight, which is my home lab. So I have some pictures here. Again, you probably saw some of these last week. If you did not, I apologize for seeing them again. And there's Bob with the dictionary example or dictionary response to what he posted. Yeah, I wasn't really into Greek mythology and all that stuff, so that's why I didn't get that reference. Anyway, so let's go to the home lab conversation. I'm going to remove the chat and we're going to go take a look at what my home wall or my home lab is like. So you've probably all seen this before. If not, it's the thumbnail. This is my home lab. Like I said, I originally was wanting to do a rack, but when we moved in the house, I didn't want to take up the floor space needed for a rack. And all the wires were already run to this area. So upstairs is basically in our living room is where our main TV is. And then there's a dining room that we made into our office. So we have two matching desks. That's where I used to do the live stream from. And so both of those rooms have at least 4 runs of cable down to this wall, if not more. All the RF in the house comes back to here. There are several drops in the basement that come back to here. So basically all the wires get run to this center area, or this area, I should say. You basically have 3 network switches on the left-hand side. They're all Cisco small business. You have 2 desktops that are mounted to the wall, side mounted. One is my TrueNAS box with 4 2 terabyte hard drives in it. And oddly enough, 8 terabytes is, well, actually, it's like 6 terabytes, is enough for me. I don't even come close to using. I take it back. I think we're about halfway full. So it's not a lot of storage, but it's more than I need right now. And then at the bottom of the screen, you can kind of see the cable modem. We have a Spectrum internet here. It's 400 megabits down. I'm sure you've all heard of me complain about it. And then on the right-hand side, or sorry, in the middle of the side, middle there is the RF distribution. Again, every wire in the house comes back to here. I can make every wire either an antenna feed or a DirecTV feed. For the time being, we're on DirecTV. That may change. And then on the right-hand side is another desktop and a phone and a 66 block, which we talked about last time. That's basically the existing home phone wiring. I just put on a 66 block to make it nice. So I did not take a picture of my pfSense box, but basically it's a little small Dell, small form factor Dell. And so as you all probably know, I like pfSense. So I have UniFi gear. And I have a UniFi access point, and I have the UniFi Flex Mini here that I just kind of carry around my bag because having a switch that's small and USB powered is very nice to have. So, oops, I just dropped something. So anyway, so the internet comes in from Spectrum cable. It goes through my pfSense box. Now, some of you probably are like OpenSense or UniFi or whatever. I like pfSense because it's got every feature you would want and then some. It's enterprise level, but you don't have to pay for it, and you don't have to use it if you don't want to. But it's nice to be able to get in there and play with things. The firewall rules make sense to me. I use HA proxy, which is built in, which is nice. It's got WireGuard support, so my phone can connect in, or my laptop can connect in via WireGuard and get right in my network, which is great. And then I use the HA proxy as a front end for some services I run, like Nextcloud and Nginx and some other things. So like that's built in, which is nice. And really, I just love the complexity that you can get. At one point, I was playing around with BGP routing in it because why not? And so just the fact that it does everything and then some, I think is great. Not to say that, OpenSense or those are bad, but I just prefer pfSense. Even after the whole licensing debacle thing they had, I don't know. I use the community edition, or I will be using the community edition. And so that's what I do. Let's go back to chat. Put it in the air. Bob's probably good at Jeopardy. He probably is. Bob's asking Haley if the headphones are over the top. The keyboard is literally just floating there on top of a computer. It's not actually mounted to anything. Actually, funny story. In last week's video, I took photos, and in the photo, I realized that the hard drive had died. So I had to hook up a keyboard and mouse. I had a keyboard and mouse hooked up. And so I've been kind of just playing with it a little bit because I actually rebooted it. The hard drive came back. But I basically go up to it every once in a while and reboot it just to kind of see if it's going to die or if that was a fluke. As of right now, it's a fluke. But I don't know why it didn't boot the hard drive that one time. Don't know. So the kind of thing is just hanging out there for now. It does not stay there. The monitor on top in that picture does not stay there, although it could, but it does not stay there. It just kind of is up there for now. In this picture, you will also see, I should probably remove the, so that keyboard is just kind of sitting on top of there. Also in this picture, you can see off to the right is the sump pump. And so that's where that one cable goes that goes off the screen. Joe says he likes the Bung power strips, what are they? Are they Surge 2? No, they are not. Um, they are they are actually trip lights. They're just trip light basic rack mount power strips. That's a short version. But they're basically just, yeah, they're just trip light rack mounted power strips. And I love the fact that basically they're spaced out, so you can put wall warts on them in any direction, and they're not going to take up 2 spots. Because I can't stand it when you go to use a wall wart on a thing and it uses up 3 slots or 3 outlets. I mean, that kind of defeats the purpose. So those were trip lights that were spaced out. So that's why I like those, because you can see every one, and there's 2 identical ones there. You can see that every one of them is used pretty much, and that they have wall warts in some of them, and it doesn't matter which direction the wall wart goes because they're spaced out appropriately. So I highly recommend that. They are, I of course cut the ends off of the 6-foot cables they come with, and I just made them short to plug into the outlets. This is actually all on one circuit, surprisingly. It is not surge protected. There is no UPS. I don't have a generator, so having everything on a UPS doesn't really do much because there's no generator here. It's a home lab. It's not my work. So if we go down for a little bit because there's a power hit or because the power goes out for a while, it's not the end of the world. We have phones that have internet. We can manage. We've talked about getting a whole home generator. I'd like to have one someday, but I just don't have one currently, and it's not in the foreseeable future. Yes, they are basically designed for the back of the rack, but I think they're very cool. Toro's in the house. Welcome in, Toro. Oh, yeah. Bob's talking to Joe about converting them to capacitor. Putting capacitors in there. So David says, chat's not on the screen. David says, I recently deployed the FR package on all my PFF installs and configured OSPF with my Tailscale nodes. They route magically between each other. That's pretty cool. Yeah, definitely the FR package is what I was using for BGP. I just kind of wanted to know how it worked, and basically I made a physical PF sense and a virtual PF sense, and I made the 2 talk via BGP. It worked. It was a great proof of concept, and then I deleted it and said, let's move on, because that's kind of what I do with the home lab. And that's kind of the whole point of a home lab is you can spin something up, play with it, delete it, whatever you want to do, and hopefully it doesn't cost you anything. That's my whole thing, is that this is in my basement. It costs me electricity, but there's no monthly bill. And if I forget to do something or turn a machine off, I don't get a $100 bill at the end of the month because I forgot to turn something off. Ken Jennings Carpenter. That's a good one, Joe. Wouldn't it be Watson Carpenter instead of Ken Jennings? Tailscale is pretty cool. I have not actually, other than testing it, I've never actually used it in production, but I'm not opposed to it. I just like to open up the firewall rule for allow, WireGuard in. So Bob says, I would suck at Jeopardy, too many U.S. history questions. Don't they have a Canadian version of Jeopardy? I mean, I don't know if they do or not, but they should. CBNT TV says the studio's looking great for great content. Well, thank you very much. I think this is the most consistent studio setup I've had since I started the channel. Joe says he never thinks about VPNs or networks anymore. He can just get to my stuff. Yeah, that's the beauty of Tailscale. David says he recently moved off Tailscale because of SNAT limitations. What is SNAT? I don't know what that is. It's now running off a Pi or VM at each site and routing with pfSense. Can you elaborate on that, David? I'm not sure what if I follow that, what that means. Clear Life Media, welcome in. Clear Life Media is a guy who does production, a lot of cool productions as well. So I don't think he has a channel though. Yeah, I mean you could find run-of-the-mill power strips anywhere. But yeah, the spaced out part is definitely the part I like. Bob Carpenter, I do not have a whole house surge protector. I've thought about it twice. I've actually looked at one like, I should buy this. And then like, maybe not. But yeah, I've actually thought about it. Yeah, I should probably like I said, I've thought about it, just never done it. No, not really. I mean, it's a home lab. I mean, I'm not, if it doesn't shut down correctly, the worst I do is lose something. But I mean, I'm not doing things constantly, like they're not changing. I back up stuff regularly. Yeah, I mean, I probably should do a graceful shutdown, but it doesn't always work that way. I will have to laugh. I do have to laugh, so I should say. We generally have pretty good power, and I got a Ting. Is it Ting? I'm pretty sure it's Ting. Yes, a Ting power monitor from my insurance company, and we have pretty consistent power around here. The power doesn't go out all too often, and when it does, it usually is not storm related, which is good. It's usually like, oh, it's a nice sunny day, power goes out. But yeah, so we have. I mean, I probably should do more about that, but I don't. So, sue me. Don't actually sue me, please. Um, Eric's here. Welcome in. I think you were here earlier. Clear Life Media says, I learned a hard lesson doing a live stream. Someone pulled our plug that had the internet. I need a backup battery for a network switch ASAP. Ooh, yeah, that's not good. Someone pulls the internet on a live stream. That's kind of a killer. Um, do you have any redundant ability to do redundant connections like a LiveView or a Degero where you could lose one connection and it would just keep going? I'm curious. Eric's, that's about what I think. I mean, it's a home lab, so if it dies, it dies. I mean, the only thing I have to basically keep up and running is the internet, and that's for the the Haley factor, so that she can have Wi-Fi and we can watch our, whatever. So as long as pfSense keeps running and the single ubiquity access point that I have works, things are good. Anybody doing active BG? No, I can't imagine anyone's doing active BGP route change tracking. Is that something you can even do without being an ISP? Or at least getting like a fiber connection? You kind of do. I was kind of thinking the same thing. Like maybe you need to figure out who controls the modem or who has access to that and why they unplugged your stuff. Oh, SNAT is source-based NAT. Okay. I think Eric says he can be the muscle for your next live stream. Clear Life Media says they do have a a redundant connection. And that's what I would. That's the best answer or best solution is to avoiding those kind of issues. Is make sure you have a multi-homed internet device that can send out via different paths. Hard to explain. Yeah, I'd have to look up SourceNat. I don't know that I understand what that is. These ones are on a lot of YouTube channels. Can we view that? Yes, we can. So this is what Bob just shared. Interesting. Probably should get something like that. Like I said, we don't typically have issues based on my Ting monitoring, but if I ever do, I will have to look that up again. Graceful shutdown means as long as it's not on fire. Yeah, or too hot, because, then it just melts down. Now they'll be known as the Tommy Chong power strips. Should I do content with our setup? Yes, I think you should. I think you should, you know, make some content with your stuff. Like, I mean, that's whatever you feel like you want to cover. I would totally watch. Um, Even if it's just shorts. I mean, you make some shorts about what you're doing. I think people would watch totally. Joe asks, is anything backed up off site? No, currently not. Um, yes, Ting does tell you about surges. Um, we'll get back to your comment here in a second, Joe. But so I can't really show you this on the screen. Um, but yeah, it basically my Ting monitor right now shows me that the power is 125.03 volts, and that the high was 126 volts and the low was 122. And then there are news where basically if there's a outage in the community, it will basically tell me like your power is out because your neighbor's power is also out. So it actually knows, like, based on your community, if the power is out in multiple places. Um, it has a real-time volt tracking, like, so they actually see a graph moving up and down right now with all the voltage, and it tracks hi-fi on the line. But if it ever goes over voltage or under voltage, it will email me and tell me, like, hey, you got power issues. So I think it's pretty powerful, and that thing was free from the insurance company. All I had to do was sign up for it. And based on my searching of Ting's website, you can't just order it. You actually have to get it through like an insurance company or somebody because that's their business model. I don't know. I feel like it's a weird business model, but that's what they do. So back to Joe's comment about backing stuff off site. No, I don't. I really should. There's not a lot that I really would necessarily need. But yeah, I do. I've thought about my backup solution in terms of getting offsite. I probably would do something, or I should say, I should do something. So I bought this a while ago. I think I talked about this before. This is a Raspberry Pi NAS. Basically, it's a Raspberry Pi, and then it has the ability to do 4 hard drives. Vertically mounted in here, and this thing worked, and it worked really well until the hard drives died because I was just using old hard drives. I should buy new ones. This thing still would run if I turned it on, and it's got a fan on top, so to expel the heat out of the hard drives. And my current thought process is that I would build this and then have this VPN in, or WireGuard, I guess, or I guess Tailscale, have this VPN into my house, and then I would be able to back up to this, and I could put this in my parents' house because they're about 10 miles away from me, or I could take this anywhere really that a wire guard's allowed, and get it back up. I mean, I could send this to, Joe or Tony or even Bob and say, here, can you store this or can you run this in your house? Excuse me. So I thought about that too. Like, hey, can I ship this to somebody and just have them run it in their house and be my offsite backup? I don't need a lot. Like I said, I'm barely using 3 terabytes of my 6 terabytes. Most of that is movies or video clips that I could go re-download. So it's not like it's mission critical data. I use Quicken for finances. Quicken data is backed up to their cloud. So, the one thing I have to have is backed up to the cloud. But my pictures are not, which probably should be fixed. But like I said, if somebody wanted to volunteer to be the host of this, I could set that up for somebody and send it to you and have a backup solution. Because I just don't want to pay. I don't want to pay for cloud storage. I don't want a monthly bill that says, oh yeah, here's my 3 terabytes of stuff. And this thing's so low on wattage and usage that I think this could go live somewhere and nobody would even notice. Yes, as long as Haley has the internet, mission accomplished. Source-based net is something that you can hurt your brain if you're not used to it. It's one of the ways that VoIP providers hide their real IP addresses. Interesting. I'm going to have to look into that. I'm going to have to spend some time figuring that one out. Yes, one lightning strike is all it's going to take. That's correct. I don't disagree with you. Yes, everyone loves to see other people's setups. I mean, that's why we're kind of all here and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, we got a pretty good, like I said, we got pretty good power here. I've never seen it dip to below 115. The Ting monitor I have only covers one phase. It just plugs into a standard outlet and is Wi-Fi, and so it's just monitoring one phase. Is it the best thing? No. It was also free, and it does work quite well for what I need it to do. Backing up off-site, I think you would do specific, very focused things. Yeah. Bob says, I'll give you, as in self, as in you, crypto storage on my Synology. Hey, I could do that. I could run a sync thing, or a sync thing, sync thing container, I guess you would, or, is there a TrueNAS plugin for, yeah, there is a TrueNAS plugin for sync thing. Hit me up, Bob, we'll talk. Yeah, sync thing. Yeah, that's basically what I was just kind of getting at. Anyway, so let's go. I guess I'm kind of caught up right now, so let me go back to the tour, and we'll keep going. Maybe that'll spur some more questions. So we go back to here, and then we go to graphics, and so here's basically a different view of the same thing. Like I said, there's 2 servers, 2 desktops on the wall, and then there's actually a server down below. So here's my RF distribution, and let me take the chat off. Like I said, it's got a power amplifier up top. That is what feeds that's the power injector for the TV amplifier. I have an 8-bay bow tie antenna in the attic, and then I have a amplifier mounted right at the antenna So that is the power injector for it. It's a 30 dB amplifier, which is way more than I need, but it helps in getting the long range signals that I'm trying to get. And so it comes down to either an 8-way splitter. I think it's an 8-way splitter. That 8-way splitter, which you can't really see in this picture, is 7 dB of loss. So I got 30 dB of gain, but I lose 7 of that right away at the splitter, plus any length the cable runs. So it's not really 30 dB of gain by the time it hits the antenna. It's more like 15 or 20, which, you know, when you got a good clean signal like I do, isn't going to hurt you too much. So this is the desktop, one of the desktops mounted on the wall. And how I mount them on the wall is I have these 2 little brackets underneath. They are, I believe they're from a gate. They're designed to be used in gates or cabinets. I want to say it's a gate thing, but I could be wrong. But yeah, so basically they're mounted underneath, and I made sure that I found 2 spots in the bottom of the desktop where there are no cards or no motherboard, components. And I just simply screwed in and, put a little nut or put a little screw and a nut on it. And then I screwed through the back of the computer case at the top towards the power supply. So that way there's no gap at all. That thing hugs that wall. Like you can't slip anything behind it. And that's the way I can, basically hang a monitor or put a monitor on top of the PC and have it work and be secure, because that thing does not move. You can put your weight on it, not all of it, but you can put your weight on it and it will not fall off. So I thought it was pretty ingenious. There's 2 desktops. I basically chose these desktops based on the fact that the motherboard is inside on the left for this one, and the motherboard is on the inside and on the right, basically, for the other one, so that they face away from the center. This means I could get to the back I/O panel. I can pull the side off. I can swap hard drives. I can put different cards in each one. It works out really well. Like I said, I'm pretty happy with this setup. Could it be better? Yeah, but it was great and it works. So, oops, you've already seen that one. I do have 2 servers. These are the servers. They are way more powerful than I need. They were destined to be thrown away. So instead of going to a junk pile and just getting trashed, they found a new home and a new life here. So they are, like I said, I think are they dual Xeons with like 128 gigs of RAM in them? I mean, they're insane machines. But they do what I need to do, which is basic about 8 virtual machines and then some. So they are complete overkill. I'm not even using the second one; it's just off. And then they're connected via 10 gig to my switches. My switches. This is pictures rotated 90 degrees, so you can actually kind of see. So I have 3 small business switches. The middle switch is a 10 gig. Is half 10 gig, half 1 gig. And so I have the PF Sense, the TrueNAS, and the top server connected via 10 gig. Everything else in the house is 1 gig and it's connected to the bottom switch. Half the ports aren't even, in use right now, but they could be. I mean, I can go upstairs and plug something in, which I occasionally will do, and so it's nice to just have everything plugged in. I didn't go with a patch panel because I have more ports than I have connections, and so I just thought everything should just get plugged in. There's no need to patch around things or whatever it is because, like I said, I have more ports than I have connections. So let's go back to the chat and see if that spurred any more questions. It probably did. Bob says you're handing out, oops, Bob, if you're handing out storage, I use about 10 terabytes every 3 months. That's a lot of storage. Well, I guess you are shooting video, and if you are archiving video, that would definitely make a lot of sense. And knowing you, you're probably doing 4K. Yes, I have a PoE injector. So yes, I actually have two PoE, or not PoE injectors. One's PoE, one is coax. Hold on, let me go back to that picture. Uh, so yes, so on the left-hand side in front of the Cisco switch, that is a standard UniFi power injector for PoE. On the right-hand side next to the breaker box is actually an Ethernet, is a power injector for coax, and then above that is a Ethernet over coax adapter for DirecTV. So, in order to get network or internet to the DVRs to do video on demand, they give you a Ethernet over coax adapter, or I bought it. I can't remember exactly. And so that's how I inject internet onto the DirecTV network for the two DVRs that we have. And then I'm pretty sure it has a PoE or has its own little power injector below it. So those are the two PoE injectors, you will. I have one UniFi. It's a UniFi. Is it AC Pro? I think it is. It's the AC Pro. It sits in the corner of my office upstairs. It covers my entire property. I don't need multiple access points because 2G, or I should say 2.4 gig, is enough for most of my devices. I mean, the 5G coverage does pretty well in the living room, in the office, in the bedroom. I mean, any place we would be on our phones, typically you would have a good 5G or 5.4, not 5G, 5.4 coverage. So don't really need, the multiple access points that a lot of people will have around their house. The one is plenty. Wow, that's an old reference, Nils. Oh boy, that's funny. Yeah, that if you don't recall, or if you weren't here back in the day, like a couple months ago, we had a live stream, and I ended up calling him on the phone because we couldn't get the SRT stream to work. Uh, Joe says that's funny, Nils. Uh, it's no, I don't. Yeah, it is Cat 6. Actually, I forgot. Yes, it is Cat 6. I did run it myself. Um, it goes basically three places. It goes upstairs into what is officially the formal dining room, but is our office, and then it goes upstairs to the theater, or sorry, I'd say the main screen TV in the living room, and then it runs. There's a couple runs that go up and goes towards my attic, which is where I have my TV. I eventually want to put a security camera system in, and that's where, I would figure they'd all be plugged into up there. So they're not very long runs. I mean, I think I only needed a couple 100 feet to do it all, honestly. They're basically like I think the one run is probably 12 feet. I mean, it literally goes up, to upstairs and it terminates. The other one goes up and kind of runs over and then goes up. So maybe 20 feet. Like they're not very long runs. The longest run I have is from there to the attic, which I think was a 75 feet, maybe, give or take. Jason's lab is in the house. Welcome in, Jason. Tony says, yes, it was a great, or sorry, Tech for Fun. Joe says, Nils, that was a great stream. Yes, the plywood is held up in each corner by Tapcons, and then everything is screwed into the plywood. So the idea is the plywood would stay forever, if you will, and then stuff on the walls could change over time as I redo things. I never planned on having servers, like actual rack mount servers. So I never thought about a way to get those mounted, and they're heavy as hell. So I don't think I'd actually ever mount them to the wall. I have thought about it before. I have thought about taking away the box on the right and mounting the servers there. Not sure if I'm going to do that or not. Probably won't, but I've thought about it before. Haley would like to get rid of this and have more storage space here, and I do understand that, and I'm not opposed to it, but I kind of did this to maximize floor space, and so I think with all of it on the wall, that would be a good use of that space, especially since like on the right hand side is the sump pump, and so that you can't put any storage over there because there's a crock in the floor. And then as you can see, my HVAC ducts are kind of on the top, and they kind of hang down right there, so you don't get a lot of clearance in this corner because of the HVAC ducts hanging down. So I mean, I think it works. Which these items on the wall did you buy versus landfill? I bought all the mounting brackets. I bought almost all of the wire. I bought the wood. Like I said, I bought everything mounting wise. I bought the wire. I bought the phone. All the RF stuff. I bought some hard drives. So I would say maybe a third. A third of it, most of it was destined for the landfill. So I prevented it from going there. Toro says, are they R20s? I don't remember what they are. Hold on. Yes, the image was a little blurry because there's not a lot of light there, and so what are those servers? Hold on. Somewhere in here it's going to tell me. They are R730s. It's not a 720, but a 730. I don't know what versions of Xeons they are. Oh, wait, hold on. They are E52620 version 4. So hopefully you got that. That's E52620 version 4. Of course, Joe says 4K is better. You'll be able to read it. You can still have blurry 4K. Just saying, you don't necessarily get blurry does not make, or 4K does not make your image better necessarily. Starlink. I don't need Starlink. Mocha adapters. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. The DirecTV uses Mocha, I'm pretty sure. What I missed, the two next to the fuse boxes. What's the box just to the right and slide down from the UniFi? What is... So the box below the main bundle of RF is the cable modem. So there's a cable modem in there. there is, that's the box on the bottom next to the white cable. Uh, the box next to, is there a better picture of this? I think there is. Yeah, so what you have is the UniFi power over Ethernet injector. Then you have the DirecTV power inserter for the LMB on the satellite. The green thing next to it is just a simple RF splitter. Then next to it is the Mocha adapter. And then below the Mocha adapter is the power inserter for the Mocha adapter. So hopefully that answers hopefully that answers your question, Bob. David remembers the good old-fashioned phone call. I mean, you guys all loved it. It's still a very popular stream. Da, da, da. Yes, Toro, that is correct. On the which graphic is it? It's number 9. So yeah, this is a wall mount. This is a wall mount bracket that I did pay for. I did buy, and it's designed to hold 3 switches or 3 19-inch units to a wall. So I mounted it vertically, and does a great job holding the switches and not using up nearly the space that I had thought would be used up by 3 switches. And I don't need 3 switches, but I just, like I said, I saved them from a landfill, so it was like, why not? Toro says your setup is neater than most I've seen. Well, thank you. I actually think this is kind of a mess. Adding the pfSense box and the 2 servers down below definitely created some mess because I don't have a good way to run the wires down there. And I used to have a virtualized pfSense, and we ran into some issues with that. I think we talked about that last time. Basically, I used to run pfSense virtualized, but ran into the issue you have with pfSense when you're virtualized is how do you upgrade your VM host if your server's down or your internet's down? And then I also ran into basically an issue where the cable company used to give me 5 IP addresses. Now they give me 1. And when the Cisco switches boot up, because the cable modem sees them first, it reserves the IP address for the switch, and I can no longer tunnel internet traffic to a virtual pfSense via a VLAN because the cable modem sees the Cisco switch boot up first and therefore assigns in an IP address. Now, as we talked about last week, the Cisco switches do not have interfaces assigned to that VLAN. So the only thing I can think of is the switches must be doing some sort of like Cisco discovery protocol, and therefore for like a split second they are on the network, because ever since Spectrum got rid of the 5 IP address limit, I can't do what I did before, and nothing in my environment changed. So maybe there's a setting I'm missing, but in the small business switches, I cannot figure out what setting it would be to turn off the fact that, you know, the cable modem sees the switch first and not the pfSense virtualized. So I went to a physical pfSense box, which, you know, I was able to get a 10 gig network card into, and therefore I can do inter-VLAN routing at 10 gig with a physical box. And so that's kind of cool. Not that I need to necessarily do that, but I mean, I could. And so I guess there's some ways there's perks to that. I also because it's a virtual or physical box, was able to also plug in like a I don't have it with me, but a Verizon, LTE adapter, and I was able to basically give it, the Spectrum and LTE, and then route both of those out via 10 gig to my network. So having a physical PF-Sense box definitely was helpful and is helpful in a lot of ways. Part of me still misses the simplicity and the cleanliness of an all virtualized environment, but whatever. It is what it is. Yes, blurry 4K is still 4K and costs the same amount of money. Yeah, it's 4,000K, so it's 4,000 times more expensive. All right, so I guess you're talking amongst yourselves. Bob says that answers the question. Great. Um, I'm way behind. Um, David says you should do a video ninja stream and see how good that works. I played around with that once. I mean, it seemed like it worked, but yeah, I mean, I could try that. Joe says if you get the network install police out there, they will tell you that you're using zip ties instead of Velcro. Then they shouldn't go to my stations because we use zip ties all the time. Yeah. Eric says he's got a 3U wall mount just like that. No new landfill gear. None that I'm aware of. Velcro is what you replace zip ties with. uh, yeah, no, there's no new gear. So yeah. You guys are talking amongst yourselves. I use zip ties. Just got used to getting yelled at on control. Yeah, I mean, as long as you're not like doing the like death pull and making the thing so freaking tight that it actually does disrupt the cable, I don't find an issue with zip ties either. I mean, like I said, as long as you're not crimping the cable with the zip tie and you're just keeping it there, you're just using it to hold it in place, I find nothing wrong with it. Yes, does it create some waste when you want to rewire? Yes. How often are you rewiring something? In a lot of situations, like those wire ties or zip ties, cable ties, whatever you want to call them, have been there for like 5 years. They have never moved once. And the couple that I have had a cut, I put back on. They're like a cent, 2 cents per wire tie. Like it's no big deal. So I do not get people's obsession with Velcro. I think it's nice. I have things with Velcro. In my go bag, every wire in this go bag is with Velcro or some kind of reusable clip, because there I often am unplugging something or pulling something out, using it and putting it back together. That's where Velcro makes a lot of sense. If a wire is going to go on a wall and stay there for 5 years, I think a zip tie is sufficient and totally works. Like I said, as long as you're not clipping it down where it's causing damage to the cable, then you'd have a different issue. But that's just people not paying attention. The switch is set to a fixed IP on a different VLAN, so I do not understand why the switch is even asking for an IP address at that point, because the port was set for access only in Cisco language. It was an access port, It was VLAN 999 untagged. So in theory, the cable modem should have never saw it, but it did. And so the only thing on the VLAN was that one port. It was set for access, untagged, and then there was in the virtualization server XCPNG port 999 or VLAN 999 was a interface on the pfSense, and it worked for years until Spectrum got rid of the 5 IP address thing. How high up are those switches? You're 6'4". Yes, they're slightly above my my face. Like they're like up here. So what is that? 6.5 feet off the ground, give or take. Toro says he'd be more than happy to help you troubleshoot this on a stream if you'd like to make an episode of it. I'm not opposed to it. That could make for a good live stream. How would I do that though? I would have to, because I wouldn't have internet, I'd have to stream. I'd have to make a second. I have to use like a Verizon hotspot or something like that to stream, because I wouldn't have internet through my regular connection. That would be a good idea. That might be a topic for next week, Toro. Yeah, we could. I'll have to think more about that for sure. David is in the house. Welcome in. Good to see you. David was on that stream last night as well with Jeremy. So Joe says, how do you expose your photo storage? Okay, so I use Nextcloud, and all my devices, I have 3 devices, they all sync to that Nextcloud server in their own directories. And then I have WireGuard, so if I need access to that stuff, I can WireGuard in. Or for the 3 places I go often, I have allowed IP access to those 3 places only. So maybe it's 4 places. Either way. I have whitelisted the IP addresses that I would like to have access to my Nextcloud server. And then if I'm not at one of those 4 places, I do it via WireGuard. So the only thing on my network that is exposed is WireGuard, SSH, and 1935 for streaming. But they are all, with the exception of WireGuard, whitelisted to certain IP addresses. I use the pfSense alias function. So I basically say trusted connections, and then I add the IP addresses to the trusted connections alias list. And so the only thing that is publicly exposed to the whole world is WireGuard. So hopefully that makes sense. As far as I'm concerned, that is the most secure way I can be without doing Tailscale or some other method. So if there's a huge flaw with that, please let me know. I can't think of one, but let me know. I hope David's not sick too. That would be bad. Does your local university have a surplus store where you can pick up cheap used gears? No, the university does not have a surplus store, but we do give a lot of equipment to a third party. Both places do. They give used equipment to a recycler, and they will often have events where we can go pick up or buy, I should say, used gear. A couple of my coworkers went there one time. They bought a PS4 in the box, brand new. I want to say it was $175. It was really cheap. Uh, so they do have like a open. This third party company we use has like an open. I don't know if it's every quarter. I forget how it works, but basically they have like a come buy it day, and you can go there pick up all the used gear for cheap prices. So Velcro is for ASMR people too. Yeah, the ratchet is ASMR. I am not doing an ASMR stream. Not going to happen. Oh, we did hit a JAU. It's mostly single use. That's true. A zip tie is pretty much single use. The comment throttling. I don't have comment throttling on, do I? Hope not. No, there's no landfill hotspots. You gotta buy those. Toro said he would join the stream live. We did that troubleshooting. Well, that could be fun. I would dig that. Yes, a like would really help everyone. I would appreciate it. Well, these are old stats. Looks like we have 10 concurrent viewers and 13 likes now. Thank you very much. That's awesome. Yes, one of the four places is the cow pasture antenna. Cows need internet too. They have internet. Well, they had internet when they were around. Um, but yes, the cow pasture is one of the four places allowed in. I'm betting money. If you think about it, you can probably guess the three other places too. So, um, anyway, so yeah, so let's talk about. So I showed you the photos. Let's talk about some of the products or virtual machines that I actually use. And I don't think I've ever actually mentioned what one of the boxes did. So let's go back to my picture. So in this picture, the computer underneath the monitor on the right, that is a Linux box running a 6 terabyte hard drive. It is running MinIO. And if you remember way back on my channel, I talked about MinIO before. And so that box on the right with a 6 terabyte hard drive is running as basically S3 compatible storage for the TrueNAS box on the left. So the TrueNAS box with the four 2 terabyte drives in them backs up via Cloud Sync to the MinIO box on the right that has a 6 terabyte hard drive in it. So I am backing up my data. Unfortunately, as Joe pointed out, a lightning strike, a fire, or a flood would take out both of those. As of right now, I'm not necessarily perfectly backed up, but I am backing up my stuff. So every photo that I save is on a device, whether that's my laptop, my desktop, or whatever. It is then cloud, or it's not cloud synced. It is then synced to the TrueNAS box via Nextcloud, and then it is backed up via Cloud Sync to the MinIO box on the right. So I actually did end up utilizing MinIO for something in production, because before when I was doing MinIO, it was basically just a theory, like a practical, like does it actually work? But I actually did adopt it for real production use, if you will. So, but on my virtual servers, so here's a list of things that I run as virtual servers. I run the Crater invoice system. I currently use just Excel spreadsheets, like an Excel spreadsheet template for invoicing. I'm not a fan of it, but it works. I've tried to play around with Invoice Ninja. I tried playing around with other systems. Crater was the first one I came across that I could run myself. It would spit out PDF files and email them all in one without having to like do some weird convoluted system or whatever it was. I just haven't made the transition to it yet, but I would probably do that soon, hopefully. I kind of have my thought process that maybe first of the year I would adopt a new, invoicing system. I was going to do it, but then I started doing some of these freelance gigs, and they require you to fill out their forms to get paid. So the idea of having like one invoice system for everybody didn't really work because I had to fill out their forms, and therefore it was like, well, crap. So I also have a links shortener, like a link shortener thing I was playing around with. Haley had a use case where she wanted to be able to make like short URLs go to pages that would get changed over time as the information or whatever would be updated. And so I was playing around with that. It worked beautifully, but I have never actually rolled it out yet. So that was one thing I was playing around with. I have Monarca as a virtual machine, which I was playing around with for backups. Haley needs backup. She wants her laptop backed up. I want syncing. I want my files to be accessible everywhere. So if I'm on my laptop, I can get a file from my desktop, or if I'm at my computer at the university, I can access it, whatever. So we have two different needs there, and so I was going to look at Monarca for that. I still have my MinIO cluster on the host. There's only 3 here. I forget why there's only 3. But there's that MinIO cluster group that I built a while ago. Nextcloud, of course. Nginx, which I use for streaming. If you don't know or remember, I used to make Roku apps, and I have made a Roku app that allows me to view RTMP streams on my TV. And so I send RTMP to Nginx. It converts it to HLS, which is what Roku prefers. And so I have an Nginx server set up for that. I, of course, have Plex. I have Rivendell, which you talked about before. I have the RTMPIE test server we did a stream on a while ago. That's shut down, but I mean, it's there. TCGUI, which is a network throttling setup I was playing around with. I, of course, run my own UniFi controller for my one access point and the switch when it's plugged in. And then I run Zen Orchestra because my virtualization platform of choice is XCP-NG. Lots of reasons why I prefer XCP-NG over everybody else. I can get into that if you want. But I prefer XCP-NG over other platforms, mainly because it's free and because it has built-in backup tools, so I don't need to go use a third-party tool to back up a box. It just does it built-in, which I think is very powerful. And so, so the internet did not cause the cow's demise. What is the black horizontal bar at the top right of the plywood? Oh, That is something in the foundation. I don't know. Oh, I know what it is. That is that is the bar for the support bracket for the air conditioning condenser outside. So the uh, the condenser is off the ground, and so there's a metal bracket that comes into the house that it sits on, and that is, I believe, the inside of the bracket. So the wood I actually did cut around that piece, and so the wood slides up in the wall and is cut around that piece of metal so that I could get it as high and level with the other piece of wood. So that actually took some time to kind of measure out and get right, but totally worth it. I like it. Yeah, I love Invoice Ninja. Nil says I like. Uh, yeah, I looked at Invoice Ninja. I could not get it to make PDF files. I couldn't make it to make PDF files, and then I couldn't make it work with my email. I don't know why, but I could not make it actually send emails on my behalf. And if it did, like, I think I got it to work with my. I have like 4 email addresses. Yeah, I have 4 email addresses that I actually use, and the one I wanted it to work with, it wouldn't. So I tried a different one, and Invoice Ninja would work with that, but it would only send a link to my Invoice Ninja server that was publicly exposed. So I'd have to expose my Invoice Ninja server or run it in the cloud, and that's how it would let people view the invoices. And the people I invoice don't want to do that. They want the invoice attached to an email, and that's it. So Invoice Ninja lost out because it would not let me create a PDF file and email it. Creator Invoice did that with minimal effort, and it did it the first time. And so that's why I decided to go with Creator Invoice. It's not as pretty, it's not as nice, it's not as full featured, but it worked. So that's why I chose Creator Invoice, and I'll probably go back to it whenever I get a chance. But as of right now, it's just kind of sitting there and off. And then, so all my VMs get backed up every other night to TrueNAS. And so then I keep 5 versions of every virtual machine. So I can go back 10 days if I screw something up. I can go back 10 days and go, oh, I grabbed that other version. And they're all backed up to TrueNAS. And I'm still on TrueNAS Core. I did not move over to TrueNAS Scale. So, in case you're wondering about that. The link shortener would actually be a cloud service if I were to implement this. I would probably run it as a cloud server, and we'd write it off as a business expense. This is more for me just testing to see if I could get it to work the way I wanted it to work, which it does. It's not the greatest interface. I forget, is it yours? URLs? I forget the service. Lawn TV, I think, is the one who recommended that product. I think it's YOURSL or YOU yours. I forget how you phrase that. It's kind of a kludgy interface, but it worked. So therefore, I was probably do it that way. I would not host that here because it'd be business related, and I don't want to do anything business related out of the house. It's a home lab, not a production, whatever facility. Yep, Bob, I am all about the right tool for the right job. So use what works and go from there. No uptime. Oh my. No, I do not use Uptime Kuma. I don't have a use case for it. To quote Tom Lawrence, uh, I don't necessarily need. I don't need to measure uptime or see what's going on. I've thought about playing around with it, but I don't know that I would use it. So never actually deployed it or tried it. Um, no self-hosted email. I've actually wanted to get a self-hosted mail server set up and want it running. Every time I tried, it fails, does not work, and it's not a ISP issue. Like I can't get it to work internally. Never gotten it to work. I would love, in this case, I will take the. I'm not a big fan of Docker, as you probably have figured out or you know. If there was a Docker instance of self-hosted email that worked, I would absolutely try it and use it because I cannot figure out how to get mail to work. I have often thought or wanted to basically have my own email server so that all my devices that can email things could email me a nightly report that says, I'm working. So I've wanted to do that, but I can't figure out a self-hosted email service that works. Like I said, I'm not even trying to expose it to the internet or send mail out via my ISP. I would just love it to work internally, but I can't figure out one that actually does work. So I think we talked about on either the last stream or the stream before about hosted SMTP. And so I did actually look that up, and I will probably explore that to get my notifications to work because I have three or four things here that I'd love to have email me. I have three or four things at the university that I would love to have email me. They have done an email relay for me, so I don't need that necessarily anymore. But for a while there, I did because they were not setting up an email relay for me, but they finally did. So I appreciate that if you're watching. Um, but yeah, so if you know of a self-hosted email service that just works, that you can host internally, please let me know. I would love to know. And if it's Docker, I will do Docker. I don't care. I just want it to work. If I recall, yes, Invoice Ninja did require some special component or server to be installed. It never worked for me. I tried several times. It just did not work. And I could not stand that. So I gave up on Invoice Ninja. I know Tom Lawrence used it. I'm not sure they use it anymore, but they did use it. So obviously it is possible to get it up and working, but I just did not do that, or could not get it to work, I should say. Jay really needs a Synology. Yeah, I've thought about getting one. Yeah, I've heard that they have their own mail thing. Isn't that what you use, Bob? Don't you have Synology mail, or is that Tony? Um, Somebody does it with Synology. Uptime Kuma, in my opinion, is more for notifications than watching graphs. I use it for all my lab servers and our websites that it texts me if there's an outage. Oh, that would be useful. I mean, I could play it. Maybe that's a live stream in the future. Setting that up for the first time. Domotaz. I'm not sure I pronounced that. What is Domotaz? Or I'm not even sure you pronounce that. Domotz. Domotz. Networking and IT infrastructure monitoring and management for MSPs and IT pros. Free download, $35 a month per site. Uh, Interesting. It's a free download, but it costs you money. And it's apparently a Windows utility. Interesting. I will have to check that one out. Yeah, I think most of the SMS stuff's getting shut down, if I'm not mistaken. I know we were talking about the other day at work about, you know, basically banning SMS connections for use. Um, we stopped doing text notifications a long time ago for like to the public. Like you could subscribe for whatever. We stopped doing that a while ago, but now I think we're going to just stop all texting. You do never know what will end up in the garbage pile. That is absolutely true. And just so you know, lots of things have ended up in the garbage pile and then disappeared, and they didn't come here. Just so you know, like I've had TVs go in the garbage pile and then they disappear, not because they worked, because someone thought they worked and then took them home. Like, why would we throw away a good TV? But whatever. I'm just saying the garbage pile is a garbage pile, and what goes in doesn't stay there very long. It's a monitor box inside your VM, and your cloud service is a sub. I would never buy it now. Yeah, I'm like Joe. Donuts? Is that what you said? Yeah. So dough matas. Okay. Yeah. Probably still saying it wrong. Yeah, there was DNS exit was one that was recommended, and then like what was it? Uh, Somebody else recommended. Oh yeah, it was DNS exit, and then there was SMTP to go. Those are both recommended about SMTP gateways or what to use in Exchange instead of using your own email server. So I bookmarked both of those. I'm going to look into them. I have not decided what I'm going to use yet. I was still hoping to do my own mail server, but that may not be the case. So what else? What else? Oh, 7 concurrent viewers, 14 likes. That's a great ratio. Looks like people are dropping off. It is getting 10:30 on the East Coast, so I will probably wrap this stream up. Um, oh, in case you were wondering, the phone on the wall was for 3CX because at one point I did run 3CX here as a free trial. Um, it is definitely the VoIP recommendation I would make for everybody who wants to run their own phone system. 3CX was easy to use. It is commercially available, so if you want to grow, there's a way to grow. I chose 3CX because I was testing something for the university, and that's what they use, so makes logical sense. So that's what the phone was for in the picture. I don't obviously use 3CX anymore, but that's what the phone was for. It was a Grandstream phone, in case you're wondering. Some people would probably ask that question. It was Grandstream. I do not have a need for a PBX at home, so I'm not going to go buy one or build one, but I did play around with it. So, any other questions before we drop? Hopefully, you all enjoyed the stream. I appreciate the engagement and the likes. Definitely a good number. Brian and Indy, welcome in. Did you ever get my email? I emailed you. I never heard back. I don't know if the spam filter is getting it or what's going on, but I never heard back. Maybe you moved on. I don't know. If you give me an update, I'd love to know what you figured out, if anything, or if you still wanted some help. Um, like I said, I do know somebody in your town that might be able to help you locally. If you're wanting some help locally, let me know. Joe says they moved their business to Microsoft 365 recently. Um, yeah, no, and I should put a caveat on all this discussion. As the title slide, this was for Home Lab. I would not do any of this. I don't do any of this stuff in a production environment. I obviously we have offsite backups, we have redundancy, we have UPSs and surge protectors and all that stuff in production environments. This is my home lab. I the bar is dramatically different when it comes to my home lab versus what I do in everyday, real world scenarios. I don't I value redundancy. I value backups. I value security like crazy. And we do it all in the real world at my day job. But at the home lab, it's just kind of, it is what it is. I don't want to spend a lot of money on it. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. The time that I do have is precious. Therefore, I just kind of dabble with things here and there. I don't spend the time and energy to make it secure, the most secure. So that's why I just keep it all behind a wire guard. I don't care about backups necessarily. I do have backups on some things, but like I said, offsite cloud storage, not going to pay for that. But I would be interested. Like I said, I'm going to probably pursue this again. I just need to buy some hard drives. Probably should have bought them on Black Friday, but need to get this up and running again. Put this somewhere, have some offsite backup. Probably be a good project this winter. But if I was, if I had a business where I needed email, I would totally use Office 365. I think it's a great product. We use it. So definitely, definitely not a bad solution. With excessive Zoom and Teams, yeah. Um, Probably. 5 inches of rain. Wow, when this basement flooded like 7 years ago, we got 5 inches of rain in one morning. So yeah, I always said I'm probably give Unky Joe a run for money or run for his money or not money in this case when it comes to King of Cheap because I'm pretty sure I'm cheaper than he is in some ways. Not my day job, but at my home stuff, I'm probably cheaper than he is. I just don't like to spend money, so Joe says, Nils, we are still using 3CX for our main numbers and extensions so employees can dial out. Zoom phone money. Phone is money. It's true. If you wanted a good mailbox that didn't have to deal with spam, what is 365 now? $99 a year or $79 a year? I know the basic plan does not include your own domain, so you have to step up to like the second level if I remember correctly. You have to jump up to like $99 a year if you want your own domain. Like I said, I'm pretty sure I might actually beat him out. Just saying. Not that I'm proud of that, but I'm just, he actually does buy things, which I do too. I'm not saying I don't. But anyway, uh, thank you for joining. I think I'm back next week. Let me look at my schedule. Da, 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 da. Yeah. I should be back next week. Same bat channels, same bat time. For that reference, those who get it still. David says he thinks the mailbox is $4 a month, but $2 extra you can get the web suite, which is 1 terabyte of storage. $8 a month per employee for us, and that's with your custom domain, right, Joe? That isn't a bad deal. That's really not a bad deal at all. Yeah, $8 a month is not bad. All right. Well, anyway, yeah. So yeah, Joe says that's custom domain. So yeah. Alrighty. Well, again, thank you all. Hope you all have a good night. I hope to see you back here next week. I think we'll probably try, if I can get Haley's blessing, we might try the PF Sense thing, or maybe I'll try Uptime Kuma. Who knows? Either way, hope you all have a good night. Thank you.